creates content, and one particular day I said I was going to direct her content.
Oh.
And I'm very OCD-ish. Very OCD-ish. And while I was directing the content, I could see her face change. And at the back of my head, I just thought, if we continue like this, we're not going to like each other very much. So, work, and when you're done with work, then we can be husband and wife. So for me, I do not think I could work. Yes, we have relationships with people we work with.
Yeah.
We, have good times, we have bad times. But then there's a reason why, those people you're not dating or, in I like to call it complicated relationship with these people. Because it's not just your results. It's not just we're friends. I have to be responsible for your emotions.
Yes. Yes.
And when I have to be responsible for your emotions, how do I pass across a certain message across to you without, in quotes, having this particular discussion spill onto the marriage bed?
Yeah.
Because it goes, I didn't like the way you talked to me today. But that's probably the way I would talk to almost every other person in the office.
Yeah.
And go home, and that person will be fine.
Yes.
And we'll meet the next day because I'm not responsible for your emotions. So I don't think I want that interplay of, if there are people it works for, fine, I'm good.
Yeah.
You found the key to something that probably we haven't found, but for me, hands off.
I find that when you work in the corporate space for so long, you lose a sense of who you are as a person, like a personal brand. So, in my work, my job is to make sure I project my brand, my personal brand. Sometimes people lose themselves. There are CEOs of big organizations that are on Instagram now, and we've seen them, and they're like, you look sketch. We can. It would be better off if you're offline. But it's because they haven't found a way to communicate their brand online, social life. You understand? How has it been, especially in the young generation, you guys, finding that dynamic to make sure that, when you take a photo, it's coming off cool. When they ask you, who are you? You're like, without the job description, without the title, this is who I am, and I'm free, and I'm cool, and all of that. Yeah.
I have a friend, one of my best friends, actually. He used to work at a bank, and he was a very corporate guy, Then he went for his master's and came back, and he got a bunch of job offers, and I know it wasn't same bank, higher position and stuff like that, but he decided not to take it, and he took something else, actually in tech. And one time he told me, he was like, so now life be this. Like, he grew a beard, and he was like, damn, man, I find go. Because he couldn't grow a beard. Like, he was always, and then it was always ties to everything. But now he's wearing shorts, he's wearing sneakers, and he's chilling. And he's like, shit, man, I would have missed out on a lot. Yeah. But then it also affects him socially because he's still very formal. You get, when he's talking to people, sometimes when he's tracking a babe, and I'm there or something, tell him, say, guy, they send email, or no be email. No be email, because it has, it's still affecting today. He's conscious of it now because,
and I think that's why a lot of billionaires go into philanthropy and trying to start a foundation, because when they leave or they become chairman or, they've had to step down, they're like, what do I do with myself? So they have to get into that.
So now, his Instagram pictures are popping now. Before, oh God, terrible. So it's he's better socially. I think workplace does affect. Well, maybe not for babes, Sha.
It does.
Okay.
So I think there are two things. First off, I think being in Nigeria now in the corporate space versus, let's say, when my sister started or even when my mom was working, we're all working in three very different spaces. Right now, as a female, I can have whatever personal brand I want. Nobody's, in fact, it's almost now like, people are like, what's your personal brand? Let's even see if they will hire you off of that. Like, do people like you? What is, because your network is your net worth, right? And at the stage that Ejiro and I definitely are at, the next job that we take, or let's say somebody headhunts us for a role, because that's literally what it will be at this point, they're looking at your total package. So it completely matters. Now, I mean, it matters to the point where, to be honest, I literally, to come today, like, what was I gonna wear? I literally went through my Instagram page of the last 3 years of outfits that I had worn to make sure that I wasn't going to repeat an outfit that I had already worn before. And then I was like, oh gosh, I wore this in 2017 to this. And then my husband was like, well, actually, you wanted a lot more than that. I was like, you see, I said, this is why I can't work with you, Sam. But like, you know, it's just things like that because you're constantly packaging yourself. And one of the things that Ejiro like mentioned when she was talking about working with her husband is, as a woman, first, as a woman, black with your own hair, the hurdles that you have to constantly jump through each and every single time. Oh, I forgot age. Your age. Oh, and then that's because by Nigeria, your tribe.
Yeah.
Right? Do you like makeup? Do you not like makeup?
Yeah.
Do you
Are you
like
married
fine
or
things?
not
Are you
married?
married or not married? Do you
have so
like nice
many-
things? Do you not like nice things? Can you go out and look like a babe and actually have bother yourself? But somebody will say, she has sugar daddy. Like, it is.
You can't carry certain bags to the office.
You can't carry certain back.
Because if your salary is not matching where the bag
Please
is
move
matching.
back. Let me high five her.
You have to think about all those things.
I literally couldn't. I was a bag I wanted to carry here today, and I was like, ooh, I don't want to carry that bag because I don't know the people. I don't want them to think that I'm a specific way. And I'm sorry, okay, am I wearing a wig? No, it's your own hair. Okay, but it's colored. Okay, relax. Like,
You go through all these.
You think about everything.
Wow.
every single time. And then you get to your office, and then you put on your office persona to perform. So you're constantly performing. So when you say, I mean, the question often gets asked to us is, so when are you yourself? At home. At home and with my family and with my friends and myself. I also find that I'm also myself at the office. It's just different variations of myself. It's just different variations.
Okay, girls, yeah, they go through
Yeah,
it.
I completely agree with that. Yeah. I completely agree with her because at the end of the day, it's part of yourself. Because, like I said, there's a persona I have when I'm working. It's the same persona if I'm planning my wedding.
Yeah.
Because that is now a target result-oriented task. Yes. So it's part of me, right? Yes, the corporate world kind of shaped it, but it's part of me, and I'm fine with that. Yes, there's the person who goes on a yacht, right? Yeah. But where we are planning booking the yachts is the same corporate. So I guess it's just part of life now for us. Yeah.
Piggybacking on what she said, sometimes we wrongly make the assumption that, this is work life and this is my life. So this is not me and this is me. But I've come to also realize that these are just different parts of me that come out at different times. Right. So before I got into medical school, I was a different person. I was more fun. I was out there. For crying out loud, I was the head boy for a long time. So I was used to always being seen. Then I got into medical school, and medical school shaped me into a totally different person. So I was the kind of person who would go to a party and just sit down in one corner, and I'm analyzing. It's not that I'm shy, but I'm just reading people, because by the time you're sitting at your office table and someone walks in, you are forced to make a diagnosis before you even talk to the person. So if the person walks a certain way, that's a clue. If the person sits a certain way, that's a clue. And so all those parts of me tend to come into a certain
life experience.
Yeah, so before I got married, before I go even try QSF, I guys read you. So I don't just jump into, I see guys do it and I'm like, oh, man, you're so bold. They just go, hi babe, what's up now? How far? How will take? Nah, I've read you for a long time before I actually woke up. So these are all parts of ourselves. And I think we should have that acceptance that this is not just work. It's you also. Because the fact that you're able to pull that off means that it's a part of you. So this is me coming here. It was for corporates, but I decided against wearing the shirts because I have shirts and ties. But there are some times I say, you know what? No, I'll just go t-shirts, turtleneck, something different, and I'm stealing that car instead.
By the way, you've done an amazing job of, communicating your personal brand online. He's a juggernaut on Twitter. He's a Twitter god, and that's amazing. If you don't know, Chinonso is Aproko Doctor. But I'm sure there are very few people who don't know. What is the place of a mentor in the corporate world? I mean, in my space. He's my mentor. This is my role model. I used to see him on TV years back. Sir, please mentor me. What is that like when everybody feels like we have only one ladder to climb? We are in the same ladder. I don't want you to surpass me. Or I don't know what that dynamic is in the corporate world.
I would actually love for Ejiro to start
Yeah.
because she's in a great industry for that.
I think for me, when I got in, I was very young, like I said, and there are so many people, and no shade, but so many, I'll mentor you and everything. I'm just like, but I was lucky enough to have some conversations, and I realized that the whole point of a mentor, in my opinion, is not just someone to guide you in your career. If that mentor is in your workplace, is to say your name where decisions are being made. Because at the end of the day, who knows me sitting in my little cubicle?
Yep.
But if my mentor is somebody that, we have those conversations, he knows how my mind works, he's like, okay, this is where you are now, right? But this girl is smart, So tomorrow when they're having conversations, it's like, that girl in that department, try her for that role.
Yes.
And he has that, the trust that when I'm in that role, I'll slay it.
Yep.
And that's how you climb.
Wow.
You don't, sometimes people think, okay, do your work, do it well. Sometimes you grow like that.
Yep.
But then if you don't have that person who is whispering your name or saying, I had times where I was an intern and I would do like a presentation. And my boss, because my boss too, he was not my mentor, but he was a great coach, right? Because that's a different.
Yeah.
He would say, send that email directly to the CEO and copy me.
Yeah.
Other bosses, your work, they will send it. They won't even copy you. Well, obviously they don't need to do that, right? But if you have people who are pushing you, making sure you are visible, and people, and I will say this in Nigeria sometimes, your bosses, they are not even comfortable in their own seats. Do you understand? So if they are not comfortable, they can't push you. But if someone knows that, even if Ejiro comes to take my job, I'm happy, those are the people who will push you, and those are the kind of people you should be looking for mentors and coaches. It's not to say, this big person with big name is my mentor, but the person is not really doing anything for you. So that's what I think.
It was a video on Instagram that made this clearer to me. So I now tend to call them sponsors. So for me, they're just sponsors.
Yep.
And they are people who are mentors. So I'm not looking to have my mentor push me up the ladder, for instance, because sometimes even people like us are trying to create a new ladder. Because what I do is new, is novel. And I had a lot of pushback, first of all, from people who were in the normal ladder. So they went, what's that young man doing? That's not what a doctor should do. So I had my name pop up in different WhatsApp groups and, up there and then. And then I got approached by a few people who were actually up there and said, we love what you're doing.
Wow.
This seems to be the missing link in public health. And I have had my name, just like she said, being mentioned in some circles that naturally my name would not be there. My qualifications do not qualify me for those kind of meetings. Because these people are sponsoring me. So I think it all boils down to you being yourself, improving yourself. There is someone who will take note of you, and you just, showing that this is the value I have to offer.
Yeah.
And once you show that value, you find somebody who would sponsor you and mentor you at the same time.
Yeah.
Do you want to go?
Sure. I think you guys are absolutely right. First off, in Nigeria, I find that when there's a buzzword in town and somebody repeats it to you, please ask them what it means to them, because this word mentor, when you say you want a mentor, what do you want? Say, just mentor me. But what? What does it what should I do? I just like you. Oh, okay. Next. There's definitely a difference between a mentor and a sponsor, a role model and a coach.
Please explain to us all. Give us a definition.
Okay. Okay, so a coach is so let me use it at work. So a coach can be a colleague who knows just how to do something really well, like maybe use Excel really well, knows how to write formulas in Excel really well. Sorry, I like Excel. And so you go to that person and you say, look, I'm trying to think about, this is the problem I'm trying to solve. I'm trying to calculate this. Can you show me how? That person will coach you how to do it through. There's nothing for them to gain or lose by showing you. Yeah. Absolutely nothing. Then you have a role model. You don't have to actually speak to this person. You don't have to know them personally. Yeah. They don't have to be. They can be actually like, sometimes you can be the CEO in an organization. No, in your organization. Okay. You can have a role model in your organization that you never talk to. But you have seen this person in town halls and you really like the way the person carries themselves. And from afar, you just study them. You analyze them. How do they do? What do people say about them? How do they work? And then if you are lucky, those people usually have openings on their teams. That's when you jump in. And that person can now go from role model to coach. Because you've seen something about them that you really like, that you want to do. Or by the way, that you don't like. So you're like, stay away from that team. Then you have a mentor. For me, a mentor is a really great person to have open conversations with. It's just that. And a mentor relationship is actually a dual. Is it? You call it symbiotic? Yes. Symbiotic. Take it to work on Monday. It's symbiotic, right? So I'm thinking about this thing, like, how do you think about it? Okay, this is how I think about it. The person who you call your mentor can actually come to you and say, hey, I have this problem. You people of youth, you people thinking about it now. You see a lot of CEOs now like reaching out to younger people like Gen Z and say, come and run my social media. I don't really understand it. The Gen Z is mentoring the baby boomer. That's a mentor relationship. Then you have sponsors. These are the people that open doors for you. They're your accelerators.
Hey, your pushers.
Your accelerators. As in, they are in conversations, in rooms that you cannot even think about. You can't even dream about. You don't even know. Because when you find out that they mention your name in that room, you start shaking. You say, me? So you say, who else was there? No. So you just say, was it good or was it bad? Let's know. Your sponsors are super critical for you in a corporate organization. I don't care how big or small it is, because that is how you accelerate your career. You can first off, you have to do your job well. As in, to have a good sponsor, you have to do your job well. That person could have worked with you on a very small project. That person could have even had lunch with you in the kitchen one day and just liked the way you talked. Or just noticed that you were the only person that carried your plates to the sink and washed it and left. It's literally little things. And that person just says, try that person. They don't know you from anywhere. Like, they don't necessarily have to have had a strong conversation with you. Now, sometimes if you're lucky, you'll get one person that can do all four. What I find is that people confuse things where you're looking for all four in one. It's rare. It's rare. You might have 3, 4, 5 people, 6. You might have people for a season. So you remember I told you guys the story about how I met a CEO who gave me this advice that like changed my life. I think I talked to that guy 3 times. How did I meet him? We were at school and they said we should do school tour. Oh yeah, come and do school tour. The guy walked in and they said I should do tour with the guy. Me, I didn't know. Guy from Nigeria. I didn't know who this guy was. Just this school, this, this is the name of this. I'll tell you who the guy was at the end. Anyway, so we do this whole tour, and the guy was just like, yeah, like, goes, what do you want to do with your life? I'm like, as in this tour? Oh, I don't want to be a tour guide. I don't want to be a tour guide, that's for sure. But I would like to do. And he was like, oh, come to New York and see me. Okay. I'm not like, now being a female Nigerian, when you have older men tell you to come and see you in places, your first head is, hey, Jesus. My mommy did not spray anointing oil on my door for this. What's this one? So the guy gave me his card and I was just like, whatever. And a classmate came up to me and I was like, what were you talking about? I said, the guy said I should come to New York. He goes, don't you know who that is? I was like, no. He goes, that's the CEO of Time Warner Media.
Okay.
I said, Then as a Nigerian, Egba me. What did I say? What did I not say? I was like, he said I should come to New York. He said, you will go. I said, you must go. He said, when did he tell you? I said, he's in his office. He said, you will go. I said, you are sure this is not like, you say, my country. When they tell you that you should do this thing, you can do something else. So he said, don't worry. You'll be okay, you will go. I went to the building in New York. I think I was at such an out-of-body experience because I was like, how is this possible? You mean CNN is in this building? and he's on this floor, and I say I'm going all the way to the top, meet this small girl from Nigeria with frou-frou accent that's confused. And I went and we just had it was a really good 1 hour conversation. He's actually the person that convinced me to move back to Nigeria from that one conversation.
Wow.
That was it.
Wow.
That's a role model. I had a good mentorship conversation with. I haven't spoken to that guy ever since that day. And that is okay. In Nigeria, you will try and, with the Mrs. Awoshikas of the world, you want to hold them like this. Sometimes you can have that 20-minute conversation with them. It changes your life. Go do what you gotta do. You might meet them up again in life at some point in time, but don't try and cause them.
This is Life Podcast is sponsored by Enterprise Life Nigeria, and you can follow them on social media at Enterprise Life Nigeria.
Is here with Enterprise Life Assurance. Our decades of experience in the West African markets will help you achieve your dreams with peace of mind. Visit www.myenterprisegroup.io/NG or call 0700 Enterprise to know more. Enterprise Life, your advantage.
And I think they also get frustrated when they
have put so much in you and you're still at the same place. You're still the same person.
Yeah.
You've not come back different. The same question you asked me yesterday is what you asked me 2 years ago.
So for me, we started way back in 2013, finished in 2012 school, NYC and all those things. 2013, we started, and we met this one guy who is still what you call our sponsor today, right? Without this guy, we won't have stepped into the light of the experiences that we have now. So he literally held our hand, and I remember a lot of times he'll go. He doesn't need to follow you to a meeting. Like, this guy is busy, right? But he'll drive, he'll say, I'll pick you up, follow you to the meeting that you want to close. When they see him, he will not say much, but just because he's there, they'll be like, yes, sir.
Yeah, exactly.
And he did it to open doors that you by yourself cannot open, right? I mean, this one is, you'll be praying, yes, but sometimes God sends, keys in form of people, to help you open doors. So this guy was still a very, very, probably our biggest sponsor. Thank you for explaining all those things. And you mentioned something, people have a parasitic relationship. You forget that you think you have problems. These people have bigger problems.
Thank you.
Do you know that? Right? And I heard this from one of my role models. He said, Ayo, you need to remember, because me, I'm very much a giver, right? He said, you need to remember that takers will always keep taking.
Correct.
Right? So you need to have that balance. You can't help everybody. You can't, I get DMs, oh my God, I love what you do. I want you to mentor me. I will now ask, in what? What do you actually want me to do? So it's very important to have, to understand the differences between those people. And sometimes a friend, someone even younger than you, it's not about age.
Yes.
Someone younger than you can, coach you on something. If the person is a better organizer or the person is better at this, they can help you do those things. So basically,
Please, let's hold hands. Above table. Say after me, Baba God.
Baba God.
Baba God.
Baba God.
Please send me my sponsors.
Please send me my sponsor. Nice.
All right. Last question. Last question. What would be the end game for you?
All 5 rings. Sorry. Don't leave me.
the ending for me, to be honest, I've thought about that in a different way. You put it in a very scary way, to be honest. The ending for me. For me, it's just about growth. Sometimes we forget, we always look ahead and see, oh my God, there's a long way I have to go, and I've not achieved this by a certain age, but you don't look back and see how far you've come. And how many people that you started with or so are still way behind, and be grateful and thankful for that experience and those things that you've had. So for me, when I came to that realization, it was in, I think 2017, 18 thereabout, that I was having a bad time for a period, and it was almost like a Zen moment. You know, I was like, yo, okay, you've actually come a long way, all right? So stop worrying too much about where you're going. And I realized that the more you stay thankful for how far you've come, you will just keep moving forward. It's not jazz or anything. It's just one of like the secrets of life that I feel like I have discovered. And I'm sharing it with everybody here today. So send me my coins. So just being thankful and grateful for how far you've come will get you to the next level. And for me, that is just it. It's just growth and growth and growth.
You know the funny thing? I had this exact conversation with a friend. So this is someone I met in 1 year. And in less than 1 year, this person has moved from friend to best friend to brother. And somehow we just started analyzing our lives. And I told him, look, we can keep on hammering on the things we've not yet achieved. Or we can be thankful about how far we've come in such a short time. And in my head, I'll just do what finance people do, have a projection. Sometimes when, you know, PiggyVest and the rest of them go for investment opportunities. They just tell you this is where our company is, and this is where we think it's going to be in 5 years. And for many cases, that seems to be the truth. For some, it's not. So if we're thankful, first of all, for where we are now, then it may get better. It probably always gets better in the future. What's the end game for me? The end game for me will be what has always started this. I'm more people-oriented, so I'm more of a giver. For me, it will be the bulk of Nigerians getting healthier lives. For me, it will be less people needing to pay out of pockets for medical bills that just spring up from nowhere. For me, it will be people living into their 70s and 80s and 90s. Once that has happened, I can collect my 5 rings. And it's end game for me. But, you know, I think that's just it for me.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like a couple of years, sorry, not tell you a story before I tell you the answer. But after I graduated from my MBA, my goal then was, okay, join the bank. It was a US bank. Join the US bank, associate VP, ED, move back to Nigeria, marry, then enter family business, CEO. I was great. Then my father died. And I was like, I'm not doing it here. I'm not doing it again. And that was just very jarring for me. And so then I did NYSC for a year where I worked on a farm, which was awesome. And then I went and worked for an entertainment company that actually puts on Rhythm Unplugged for like 2 years. And that was amazing. And I just started like experiencing life and experiencing joy in your work. You can actually enjoy your work. Like you can actually enjoy it. Like you can do the things that you are good at and just enjoy it. And one of the things that I figured out from that really 3-year journey was that my goal in life is actually to help people who have ideas accelerate it. I am not an entrepreneur. And that's the first thing. I can't sell it. I can sell. But for me to sit down and think about what I want to, that's not my calling. In fact, it's a complete waste of my time. And, you know, in Nigeria where everyone's like, you should be an entrepreneur, you should be an entrepreneur, you should be an entrepreneur.
You're a leader, you're a CEO, you're great.
Or my favorite one is, I'm going to start a company so I don't have to report to anybody. Joke's on you. So I just, at that point in time, when I figured that out, then I joined this wonderful company that I'm with now, this travel company, and I just realized that my goal is just basically to help CEOs and founders accelerate their dreams. And that's my end game. And so every company that I go to, my goal is like, okay, what do you want to do? Cool, give me the blueprint and I run with it and I can make it happen. And I think just knowing that has given me joy and given me peace. I'm not worried about, oh gosh, everybody around me is starting a business. It's not my calling. I'm not to start. Now, of course, that doesn't, and then what I also learned from my father passing was that it doesn't mean that God still can't give me that vision to go and start a company. I hope not, because we have agreed. But it doesn't mean that it can't change. But for right now, this is my goal, this is my calling, and therefore I will do, for every CEO or co-founder or visionary that I work for, my goal is to make your dream a reality. The end.
Love it. Love it.
Wow, got to follow that. So I would say that my end game is not so different, because I always struggled with that whole, and I have this argument all the time, 9 to 5 versus entrepreneurship. Everyone believes that your end goal should be to own your own thing. And I believe they're owning things without you having to do the day-to-day work, right? Like, I can invest in PiggyVest and own funds on Piggy. No. But my end game, I have no current end game, and I'll tell you why. I believe that what my end game is going to be is not even, I can't think of it right now. And I sat down during COVID, right? And I just thought about my journey. When I entered oil and gas, I entered oil and gas because that's what was paying the most. And I moved like that. And when I got in there, I enjoyed my job. I loved energy. And my focus currently is about making young voices in oil and gas heard. Because we still have that thing where we're deferring to the veterans, oh, you must have 30 years experience. And I'm just like, if tech is doing it, banking is doing it, all other sectors, why can't we? Yes. Yeah. So that's what I'm currently passionate about. And who knows, maybe tomorrow I'll do something else. Yeah. But one thing I'm learning is that if I truly love it, go in their path. If something else comes along, move there and be flexible. At the end of the day, I just want to be happy. And I don't want to be an entrepreneur because I like my sleep. Hey!
Sorry, if I could actually just add to what Ejiro said, there are two things that I say. One, I'm a passionate employee. That means that when you see me, you will think that I own the company.
Hey!
But I don't.
Yeah.
And I know that
yesterday. Yeah.
And I know that, and I know my position. I play my position. Second, my job is to make my CEO or whoever I report to look good. If you look amazing, I know that I will look stunning. And it's not just about looking stunning to like the people in the office, so people can say, "Good job, Bukky, you did so well." Now that is great, and the external validation, especially in corporate, is super useful because you just have some really dark days. But then if you're always constantly driving for external validation, in corporate, you will be sad because the same moment where they have hailed you, 1 minute can pass and they will blast. And I'm not even talking about your line manager. It can be a customer. And will just call you and blast you on the phone and you'll be like,
I just won an award.
You say,
please, can you just reduce your voice?
One day I had to say, sorry, good afternoon. Do you know who we are talking about? I mean, it was a very small voice because I was vibrating. But I was like, wow. And that's the humbling thing. You will never forget who you are serving. And being in corporate, it's super important at all times that you remember that, as in, I'm not building this table for me. I'm building it for other people to eat. Yeah. So the minute you start thinking about the table to eat myself, just begin to pack your bag at the same time.
I know I said last question before, but I'm sorry. Now, do you guys feel like, people who work in the entertainment space or non-corporate space should at least work a year or two in the corporate?
Emphatic yes.
Why?
Because the narrative right now, with people who have worked with creatives, this is not a slight on creatives, is that, there are still a lot of things that many of them need to learn.
Yes.
I like to think of myself as a creative because, what I do is in, both. There's parts of it in the corporate, part of it is creative. But at the same time, there are certain things I've learned in the corporate space that has helped me tremendously. Yes. I don't want to say greatly. That's helped me one of them is discipline. Another is staying at something and getting it. You know, yes, be flexible. But then where's the balance between being flexible and seeing something happen? So if we have people who are, you know, where we flow with the wind, we're zen. Once you get to an obstacle, the next thing is
People run on vibes.
yes, you know, vibes. It's all vibes and good feelings.
Oh, yeah.
You know? I like the way I'm feeling now. And another thing that the corporate space teaches you is it's not just about your feelings.
Oh.
Because just as she said, I said what I said. But, you know, but just as she said, there are certain times when, you know, you're just still coasting of the euphoria of you've done well. And all of a sudden you're slapped with, they've called a meeting because of you. How do you continue working after that?
Regardless, drop your feelings.
You get, so, you know, you just drop that and continue powering on. There are certain things you don't learn from just reading or listening. You have to experience it.
And I think some people, what I think is not necessary because I'm the host, but is to hear what people have to say. But I feel like at the end of the day, we live in a world, this is in closing now, we live in a world where we are too sensitive. Our world, our generation, you can say something mean well or not mean well, but something needs to be done. We need to get the job done. We need to get the result. And you say something to push somebody to, I mean, you're paying something, and then next thing you're finding yourself on Twitter. My boss just emotionally harassed me. I'm tired of this life. Do you think like we live in an emotionally, in a hypersensitive world now? How do we even coast that in this?
I don't know, I think the pendulum is swinging towards being hypersensitive and oversensitive and too sensitive. But then now also being correctly sensitive over the right things.
You know, because I also find like sometimes we place too much emphasis on politically being correct.
Yes, but then I would also say about corporate in Nigeria, there are some things that should have been called out generations ago that was never called out. So
we're paying the price for it.
We're paying for the price for it now. So for example, sexual harassment. It's just be like, oh gosh, I would never forget this day. I was in the office and our wonderful admin sent me a message and said, your boyfriend is here. Now, I think I had just gotten married maybe 2 years after that. I was like, my boyfriend. I look at my phone, my husband did not call me. And I said, I'm sorry, I don't know who you mean. She goes, the guy said here that I should say your boyfriend is here. And the person that comes in is actually one of my clients. And I just thought to myself, my goodness.
Wow.
Imagine if my husband had walked in at that point in time, or forget even my husband, any other colleague had walked in at that point in time. If I start to do well on this account,
they will say it's because
they will say it is yes, because they'll say yes, and this unsuspecting admin who has now been the conduit of this information will just say, and you know that guy, he came one day and he said that's her boyfriend, and she came out. So I remember the guy coming in, and I said, first off, when he walked in to give me like a hug, which would have been normal, I gave him a handshake, like stand far, so let them know. 6 feet. Right? Because we work in open spaces now. That's different than generations ago. And then when he left, I called the admin. I said, I'm sorry, boyfriend, explain. He goes, that's what he said to tell you. And I said, and you thought in your infinite wisdom, knowing that I am a married woman, to say and repeat and type it. So it's not that not only did you hear it, it went through your brain, you got your fingers out, and you typed, dear ma, your boyfriend is here. And that's what we're paying the price for now. Because there were people who never called that stuff out. They never called it out. And so now, I won't be surprised if she goes on Twitter, let's say, I don't know if she's that kind of person, but hey, if she did, oh well. I said, can you imagine? They even got angry at me today for calling somebody boyfriend. Is it my fault? The person says it's a boyfriend. How do I know their relationship? Next thing, her friends will say, it's true. How do you know? For all you know, let's say, drag. As we're sleeping here also. You've dragged your destiny. You are training you too. They've sent it to you on WhatsApp. You're like, you have dragged somebody's destiny because it's not your boyfriend. And that's where we're living in. So I honestly think that we're honestly paying the price, and there are archaic industries, energy, banking, that are just all paying the price. All of us. Those of us that were involved, though, you are not born, though.
Yeah.
We're all paying the price.
Wow. Amazing. It's been thrilling having this conversation with you guys. I'm excited. Thank you guys so much for coming out and talking with me.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Had a great time.
Yeah. This is Life Podcast is sponsored by Enterprise Life Nigeria. You can follow them on social media at Enterprise Life Nigeria.